Shalom. Giving all praises to Yahweh Shema Shai. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to you, hopefully elect. And just through the spirit, wanted to touch on this real quick. Because it's paying attention to the news, and of course, and I'm talking about here domestically, here in Babylon. And of course, knowing the agendas of the top wicked elites, pretty much with a lot of things that are going on here domestically, more and more Babylon, aka America, is pretty much being turned into one big FEMA camp, one big concentration camp, because there's a lot of news reports, which of course they're not mentioning these things. For the most part, they're not talking about these things on the mainstream media, but nevertheless, all these reports, well, first to start off, and we've touched on this before plenty of times, as far as just the new norm that we're going to see here in America. Start from a heavy military presence, which that's going on. Like I said, a lot of reports throughout the different states about the heavy military presence because of all, this migrant crisis that's been going on. Because more and more, you got a lot of these, mainly the northern tribes coming over here. And again, all nations are pretty much coming through that border or infiltrating America. But specifically, these reports been coming out, which I believe is just a narrative because, the top wicked elites, as far as the narrative and how they want to blame Jake, they want to blame Jake for everything, So with these reports of these, because it's getting to a point that you got these gangs coming together, a lot more organized crime is being taking place throughout the different states, and it's getting to a point it's been getting to a point that, the local police departments and whatnot, how they're pretty much outgunned, they're outmanned, they're understaffed, and pretty much, they can't keep up with certain things going on. They can't keep up with certain of the crimes that's taking place. And I remember this was a narrative somewhere around 2020, 2021. I remember them pushing this narrative for a hot second about pretty much not to, unless it's like a dire emergency, to pretty much not to call 911, unless it's like a real serious emergency, someone got shot or something. They were pretty much asking people not to call 911, because I remember around that time, the wait time was the wait time was ridiculous as far as 911 being dispatched and actually coming to the scene. The wait time was ridiculous. Like I said, unless it's like a real dire emergency situation, life or death situation, or whatever the case may be, they were urging people not to call 911. Hell, it was to the point where, again, the narrative they were putting out there at one point was pretty much stay indoors, you know, stay in the house, you know. But of course, people don't listen. You know, these people, they're not circumspect. So nevertheless, to fast forward back to, you know, the current time, you know, it's almost like that narrative is being pushed again. Understaffed police departments, not enough sheriffs, so on and so forth. And again, you got cartels, supposedly, you know, cartels linking up, you know, conducting more organized crimes and things of that nature. Is getting to a point where, like I said, we seeing more of a military presence, you know, curfews, all these state of emergencies taking place because of this migrant crisis, you know. But not only that, because all these migrants coming over here, all right, you know, you got certain airports, and it's not just airports, you know, but you got community centers, shelters, hotels, schools, basically being turned into these I don't know what they're calling them, but basically like these refugee camps, I'll say, you know, these refugee camps, you know. And like I said, you know, starting from the top, from the Apostle to Haran on down for many years, touching on the fact that because, you know, all these businesses shutting down, these plazas shutting down, that's not a coincidence either, because those are going to be turned into concentration camps as well. You know, all these Walmart shutting down, all these stores shutting down, you know. So again, more and more, America's being turned into one big FEMA camp, one big concentration camp. You see, right under people's noses, man, and people have no idea what's going on. For the most part, people have no idea what's going on, you know. But like I said, knowing their plans, the top of the lease is orchestrated chaos, you know, a controlled demolition, so to say, you know. And another thing I wanted to touch on real quick, because we don't make it that far, but in case we do, as far as these elections, because this guy, you know, it's like these elites, man, they're propping Trump up, man, to you know, keep him stirring the pot, you know, to keep him stirring that pot. You know, supposedly you have all these truckers pretty much going on strike or whatever, not delivering goods to New York City and whatnot. You know, which that's going to be more fuel to the fire as far as food shortages, famine, and things of that nature. You know, because I'll give credit to this devil. You know, this devil Trump. Hey, he's talking a good game. You know, he's telling the people exactly what they want to hear. You know, and I've said this before, you know, because, like I said, Lord willing, we won't make it that far, but in case we do, and somehow this guy gets back up in office, all right, you know, I speculate through the spirit, you know, because a part of Trump, a part of his big talk, you know, as far as the crackdown on these illegal immigrants and things of that nature. You know, because again, if Trump, he's you know, been talking about getting rid of these illegals. You know, we know when Trump was in office, he was talking that talk about building a wall, right, and things like that. You know, but I can see if Trump somehow gets back up in office, I can see Slakia. If Trump somehow gets back up in office, I can see, and I'm just picturing it, you know, as I speak, I'm just thinking about it. I can see it, you know, Trump having this major crackdown. I can see lockdowns, you know, pretty much martial law, you know. I can see it if Trump gets back up in office. I can see it. You know, some sort of a major crackdown, to get rid of these, some sort of a major crackdown to get these migrants out of here. You know, I could see it. You know, because hey, like the scriptures talk about, hey, this devil man, he, you know, he talks peaceable. You know, he's gonna tell you what you want to hear. All right, but in his heart is war. You know, and Biden was a damn nearly perfect example of that. You know, because hey, Biden, before he got in office, he was talking all that shit. You know, he told people exactly what they wanted to hear, and especially Jake, they fell for the shit. You know, and now look at Jake. They're crying for Trump to get back in office. You know, which brothers, we told these boneheaded Negroes, man, you know, you want Trump out of this so bad. Well, Biden's gonna be worse. We said that. You know, and what makes you think Trump's gonna be any different? You know, what makes you think he's gonna be any different? He's telling people exactly what they want to hear, and if he does somehow manage to get back up in office, like I said, man, and this is just me speaking as a man. I don't know, but I can see major lockdowns, basically martial law, man. You know, in order to crack down on these illegal immigrants, to track, trace, control. You know, I can see it, and even more heavier presence, a military presence. I can see it. You know, I can see it. You know, but this is what's going on in certain states. You know. Certain places, you know, they got curfews. You know, curfews going on. Like I said, there's a military presence, a heavy military presence in certain states. And like I was saying, with all these refugee camps that to be set up throughout the states, like I mentioned, you know, from schools to community centers to shelters. All right, you know, airports being turned into basically refugee camps, which, you know, in the future, man, hey, is gonna be, they're gonna be FEMA camps, man. You know, they're gonna be FEMA camps. And what are the odds? You know, they're talking about these new pestilences that is you know, these pestilences that are spreading. All right, you know. This guy from the WHO, you know, hey, he pretty much put it out there that, hey, and they've been putting it out there, you know, as far as preparing for the next quote unquote pandemic, they've been putting it out there. But you know, the WHO, they're having it to where, you know, they're basically sounding those alarms of these new pestilences that are spreading and things of that nature. You know, so the timing of everything, you know. The timing of everything, you see, because there are no coincidences. Esau knows what he's doing. Like I said, control chaos. All right, which I'm going to get this in Revelation, and not to mention those people. Majority of the people that took the you know, that serpent juice. You know, I'm gonna just say that they're on standby. So. It's all just a recipe for disaster, and also ultimately, you know, prophecy is playing out, you know. But Revelation 6 and verse, let's start at verse 7. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And his name that sat on him was Death. As a matter of fact, since I mentioned that pale horse, right? I'm gonna go to Jeremiah 30. Jeremiah 30. I'm gonna start at verse 5. For thus saith the Lord, we have heard a voice of trembling and of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now and see whether a man doeth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. So you see, man, because this is what's coming. You know, fear and dread. All right, going back to Revelation 6. Revelation 6 and 8 again. And And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And you see, because Esau, he's closing in little by little. He's closing in. That trench is being set about us, just like back in before the siege of Jerusalem took place. No new thing under the sun. The Lord is allowing Esau to encamp about us, man, little by little. I touched on this yesterday about the Egypt officially ditching the dollar. You see, more and more of these nations, man, they're going to ditch the dollar, and all those dollars are going to come back to America, man, and it's going to be worst case scenario as far as hyperinflation. Because once all those dollars come back to America, man, hey, people think it's bad now as far as the price of everything going up, but we haven't seen nothing yet, man. We haven't seen nothing yet. It says, reading on, and power was given unto him, Slakia, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth. And this fourth part talking about America. All right. It says, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. So you see, those four sword judgments, right? And like I said, ever since this pandemic started back in 2020, man, brothers have been reporting on all the food shortages and the factories that have, mysteriously going up in flames, food factories catching fire, and, kill baits, buying up all these farmlands, and just, brothers have been reporting on these things, because life is about to get hard for everyone. Like I said, people think it's bad now. We haven't seen nothing yet, and what is Esau going to do when it gets that bad to the point where, what do you think he's going to do, man? If you want to, like it tells you in Revelation 13, you want to buy, sell, you want to partake into society, man, hey, you're going to have to take this MOTB. You see? That's why, like I said, going back to how all these America being turned more and more into one big FEMA camp, one big concentration camp. Because soon, and we saw this in 2020, 2021, parts of 2022, people were lining up to take that serpent juice. People were lining up to take that thing. It's crazy how, hey, the Lord, man, he gives you small glimpses here and there. Of course, it's just a matter of having a spiritual eye to see it. But we've seen these things back in 2020, 2021, 2022. I remember going into the grocery stores, and I've said this several times, going into the grocery stores, they had it to where, basically food was being rationed, right? 2 cases of water per family, right? They had you follow the lines. They had those little stupid stickers on the floor, 6 feet apart and all that bullshit. They had the employees directing traffic, go to this line, go there, you go to this line, and things like that. They had the little, those little ropes, to somewhat maintain order and things of that nature, single file line, all that type of shit, and even in some places, you've seen the military presence, because again, people were lining up to take that jump shot, so you had these different military checkpoints, people to take that thing, and I said this back then, because those times are coming back, but worse, those times are coming back, but worse, you see, because the same things that we seen back in 2020, 2021, 2022, all right, single file line and food rationings. All right, well, this next go around, when it comes again, it's going to be the real deal. And Lord willing, this is it. You're going to go to the grocery store and see people. You're going to see military presence. All right, guys holding MPs, right? You know, you're gonna see fights breaking out. Because again, what do you think is gonna happen when the food runs out? You know, because these Americans, they don't know what it's like to be uncomfortable. They don't know what it's like to be without. So what do you think is gonna happen? You know, when this shit becomes just completely dystopian, you know, these Americans, they're not used to that. You know, hell, they got a lot of. I was watching a video by he was some type of a hitman. He was an ex-hitman for the cartel. I watched some interview with this guy, and he was mentioned how, because listen, and that's those a lot of those cartels, and listen, they don't play games from where they're at. These gang leaders and drug lords, they don't play games where they're at, man. You know, and a lot of them come over here. You know, I remember I was watching this guy interview, and he said, because you know, eventually he tried to this Jake tried to, you know, do right. You know, the shit got played out for him, so he tried to do right. So he came to America, you know, and he was talking about how him and certain of the guys that he was doing dirt with, you know, the prison system from where they're at, compared to the prison system over here, it's like a 5-star hotel. You know, they were talking about that. The prison system from where they're at is compared to the prison system. The prison system over here is like a 5-star hotel compared to the prison systems that they're at. You know, from where they're from. You know, because shit is sweet over here compared to these other nations. This shit is sweet. You know, this shit is sweet. You see, these Americans have no idea what's getting ready to come to them. They have no idea. And a lot of those drug lords and cartels, and like I said, more and more, they're coming together, and, you know, more orchestrated crimes and things of that nature, man. You know, you just had it a couple of weeks ago, you know, shootouts. Which this is going to become more and more common. Shootouts with the sheriffs and things of that nature. You had cartel members getting into shootouts down there in Texas with the sheriffs or whatnot. You know, so you had one particular sheriff because I guess they do some type of thing where, you know, all the sheriffs in the country, you know, they get together and, you know, whatever the case may be, whatever type of meeting. But these guys are crying out, you know. These guys are crying out. Like I said, they're understaffed, they're outgunned, they're outmanned, you know. So you see, man, that chokehold is being put on these Americans. The chokehold is being put on Babylon, and it's all orchestrated. You know, it's all orchestrated. So going back to the point that I was making, more and more, you know, just because it hasn't happened yet, you know, because in certain places like where I'm at, you know, we don't really see that stuff over here for the most part. But don't get comfortable with that. Don't get used to that, because it's going to be bad everywhere. It's going to be pure hell everywhere. It's just a matter of time. You know, it's just a matter of time. But soon we're going to see a very heavily military presence, military checkpoints, a small glimpse. Again, the Lord showed us a small glimpse back in 2020, 21, 22. Showed us a small glimpse. You know, showed us a small glimpse. You see, man. But this will be the new norm. And to go back to the point that I was making, because like I said, all these quote unquote refugee centers, refugee camps, you know, at some point they're going to be turned into quarantine centers, man. Quarantine centers, FEMA camps, you know. And just like we seen in 2021, 22, people lining up to take that thing. Listen, the time's going to come where, hey, we're going to be fighting through crowds, man. And I talk about those crowds because everyone's going to be fighting to take that MOTB. Everyone's going to be lining up to take that MOTB, man. You know, and Lord wonder what that number, because I said we're going to be fighting through the crowd. Hey, you know, wherever the Spirit is taking us in that day, because it's not damn sure not going to be to take that MOTB, but wherever we're going in that day, wherever the Spirit is leading us in that day, again, I can see it. We're going to be fighting through the crowds, man. Everyone's going to be fighting for that MOTB. fighting for the last bag of rice, fight for that last loaf of bread, fight, pushing and shoving, I could see it, I could see it. But I'm gonna go to this in Revelation 11. Revelation 11 and 13. In the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell. All right, and that was a point. That's the point. All right, this 10th part of the city. All right, which is talking about America. America is divided into 10 FEMA zones. The from the from the area codes, going to a 1 to 10. I mean, it's all through the spirit. It's all through the spirit. 10 FEMA zones, man. Because like I said, more and more, America's being turned into one big FEMA zone, one big concentration camp. You see, we get this last one. Slocky, man. I'm out of breath. I can't breathe. So just bear with me. I can barely talk. But Revelation 3. Matter of fact, Revelation 2 and 10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison. So it's coming to that, man. More and more it's coming to that. You see, it says that ye may be tried, and ye shall suffer tribulation 10 days, which 10, like the number 7, is just, completion. Some brothers might be in there overnight, some brothers might be in there 3 months, 2 weeks. But it says, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days, be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So you got to equate it, you got to equate it. Because like it tells you in Revelation 3 about that hour of temptation, you gotta think, man, why would it say be thou faithful unto death? Because, hey, this is going to be a time of trying, testing, trying and testing, man. This is why we catch our hell now.